Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the CD guy, Johnny Z here. Thank you so much for tuning back into the channel, and today I'm going to be giving my setlist predictions for the Aerosmith Peace Out Tour. Aerosmith have announced their final tour, the Peace Out Tour, and, usually when I do these dream setlist videos, I try to, make them as realistic as possible. So that's what I'm going to try to do here, Obviously, there's a lot of great Aerosmith songs that are, in their greatest hits catalog that, you really can't put together an Aerosmith setlist without including them. But what I want to do here as well is try to incorporate a healthy mix of underrated tracks or deep cuts as well. So that said, there are 17 tracks here in total. Let's get started with the live set opener. Kicking off the set here with track number 1, I'm going to go with Fever off of Get a Grip. Personally, my favorite song off of Get a Grip. I think it's a fantastic, upbeat rocker of a song and has not been played live by the band since 2004, so I think it's definitely due to be brought back into the set list here, and I think it would work really well as a live set opener. So for track number 1 here, kicking things off, let's start off with Fever. Again, has not been played live in about 18 years, so it'd be awesome to hear it once again. Like I said, there's a lot of songs in the Aerosmith catalog that I'd be remiss not to include in this set list if I was trying to go for any kind of aspect of realism here. So that said, for track number 2, I'm going to go with Love in an Elevator off their 1989 album Pump. Really fantastic song here, but obviously one of the more famous tracks here. It's been a live staple for just about every tour since its release, and it's a fan favorite as well, so definitely want to include it here. It's a classic for a reason. Love in an Elevator, track number 2 to follow up Fever. Back now to Get a Grip for track number 3. Let's go with Livin On The Edge. Another one of their greatest hits, and another one that I had to include here, right? But let's add the caveat that the intro to this song is She Cried, a song that they would perform a little snippet of it at the beginning of Livin On The Edge during their Get a Grip tour back in 1993. So it'd be really cool, great callback there if they were to do that once again with, the She Cried intro going into Livin On The Edge. So it is a great song, it's a fan favorite, and has been a staple for years. So definitely have to include it here, just like with Love in an Elevator. Another classic for sure. Track number 3. Track 4 now with Get a Grip. We're going to continue here with Cryin, and man, Get a Grip is a great album, but again, a classic song here. Obviously, you've probably heard it on the radio over and over again until you're sick to death of it, but nevertheless, it is one of their best, best known songs, so they'd be remiss not to perform it on the final tour. I'd be surprised if they didn't, but nevertheless, in my opinion, it features some of Steven Tyler's best vocals on the Get a Grip album. Just really great stuff here. The lyrics are great, and again, Steven Tyler's vocals are really incredible here. So, when it comes to, a lot of the songs in the Aerosmith catalog, even if they are greatest hits, even if they are, played to death on the radio, so on and so forth, they're definitely going to be in that final tour set list. So Cryin is no exception to that, off the Get a Grip album from 1993, track number 4 here. Let's take a break here from the greatest hits now and go to a real deep cut and a live track that's been played live in over 30 years. That's Lightning Strikes off of Rock in a Hard Place. Now, they haven't performed it live since 1990 as a band as Aerosmith, but Joe Perry had performed it recently with the Joe Perry Project, and it just sounded awesome. So it's one of those songs that I wish they'd bring back to the set list. I'm not banking on it, right? It's kind of a long shot, but for me, I'd love to hear it live once again. Aerosmith, like I said, it's been 30 years, and the Joe Perry Project do such a great job with it live that it'd be really cool to hear them do it once again, this time with, Steven Tyler on lead vocals and, giving it the full Aerosmith treatment here on their final tour. So for me, it's a deep cut that I really like to hear live, and one of those live rarities that definitely deserves to be brought back into the set list after a 30-year absence. I just feel like with this set list, I got to include something off of 9 Lives, and, that said, I'm going to go with The Farm, a real shot in the dark pick here, in my opinion. I fully expect them to, never play this song live again, but I think it sounded great when they performed it live in the late 90s. I believe they have not played it live since 1997, 1998, so somebody correct me on that if I'm wrong, but The Farm, a great deep cut, one that sounded fantastic live back when they used to do it, and, 9 Lives is a pretty underrated album, in my opinion, and The Farm, probably my favorite song off of that record. So, when it comes to some of the deeper tracks here in this set list, The Farm is definitely one that I'd love to hear live. Let's start with the Water song instrumental intro right into track number 7 here, Jamie's Got a Gun, off the Pump album from 1989. It's my favorite Aerosmith song of all time. Obviously it's a song that's played on the radio a lot. It's, one of the most famous tracks, but nonetheless, for me, I love this song. I think the lyrics are really interesting. I think it's a super atmospheric track as well, and I do love the psychedelic elements of this track, so it's one that I'm sure they're going to do live, and I'd love to hear it live one last time on the, the farewell tour, the Peace Out Tour, and again, just my favorite Aerosmith song of all time. Had to include it here in this set list for that reason alone. For track number 8, we're going to go to the Permanent Vacation record, their big comeback album, and I'm going to go with Hangman Jury. Now, this song has been played as part of their Vegas residency for a while in 2022, so I do fully expect it to be in the set list here for the Peace Out Tour, and, I definitely would not mind that. It's one of my favorite tracks off of Permanent Vacation. I just love the bluesiness of it. I think it's a great blues track here, and it's a really interesting song altogether, so I definitely enjoy it, and do hope they perform it live. They've been doing it on the Vegas residency, so, again, I would not be surprised if they put it in the set list here for their last tour. Gotta go with Hangman Jury at track number 8. Following that up with track 9, let's go with Toys in the Attic, the title track to their third studio album and their best-selling record in the United States. Toys in the Attic, the record is an absolute masterpiece and one of their best, and the title track is fantastic as well. It's got an amazing riff to it, so I really do love this song, and, it's one of those songs that is a no-brainer, I think, for their live set, so that's fantastic. And when it comes to, some of their greatest hits and their most famous tracks, this is one that, no matter how many times I hear it, I can never get tired of it. The title track to Toys in the Attic, just incredible stuff. Originally released in 1975 as the title track to that amazing third album, and no doubt going to be in the set list here for the Peace Out Tour. For track number 10, I'm going to go with the song that is widely considered by a lot of people to be one of the most underrated in the Aerosmith catalog. Off the Rocks album, It's Nobody's Fault. Now, this song has only been played live 37 times since the release of Rocks, and the last time it was performed live was in 2003, so it's one of those songs that I would absolutely love to hear live on the final tour here. I think that would be fantastic, and, it's a song that's been covered by a lot of groups. Testament, probably most notably, covered that song for their The New Order album. I believe that was their sophomore record. Great thrash metal album, but that cover is just not great, I think. Really pales in comparison to the original by Aerosmith. An incredible, underrated song in their catalog, and one of my favorites off of Rocks. Very surprised when looking at the statistics that it had only been performed live less than 40 times and has not been played since 2003, so one that I really, really hope they include in the set list here, but, not really going to, bet any money on that. I think it's kind of a long shot, but I'd love to hear it. Wickedly underrated and considered by many to be, very underrated as well. So for track number 10 here, let's go with off of the Rocks album, Nobody's Fault. Track 11 is going to be Let the Music Do the Talking. Now, this song was originally recorded by Joe Perry after he left Aerosmith. It was part of the Joe Perry Project, released in 1980, but then later covered by Aerosmith on the Done With Mirrors record in 1985. And now, Done With Mirrors, not one of my favorite Aerosmith albums, considered by many to be the band phoning it in at that point. But, for me, I think this is a really enjoyable song, even though I've heard it to death. Probably don't need to hear it again. It's a live staple and has been rotated in and out of the band set list for many years. It was definitely a staple during the Permanent Vacation tour from 1986 to 1987, so would not be surprised whatsoever if it's included here in the Peace Out Tour. I'm almost expecting it, I think, of, a lot of their greatest hits and a lot of their most famous tracks. This is one that is an absolute lock, I would say, for their final tour, so for track number 11, gotta go with that song. From Done With Mirrors, it's not great, but originally recorded by Joe Perry, I think the original is much better, so for me, Let the Music Do the Talking has to be included in the set list, just, for the sake of realism here. Next up, track 12 is going to be Last Child off the Rocks album, considered by many to be one of Brad Whitford's finest hours in Aerosmith and one of his signature spots in the concert, so definitely one that I think belonged in the set, in my opinion. One of the best songs off of Rocks as far as I'm concerned, and just some great lyrics on here as well. Killer guitar solo, just some really great stuff, and for me, gotta be in here. Last Child from the Rocks album, just a classic here, and like I said before, some of Brad Whitford's best work as far as I'm concerned. Last 5 songs, including the Encore, are, pretty much no-brainers. So that said, for track number 13, we have Dude Looks Like a Lady off of the Permanent Vacation album. How could you not include this in an Aerosmith set list? It is one of the quintessential Aerosmith tracks, even though I've heard it to death a million times over. I probably never need to hear it again. It will no doubt be in the set list. Same can be said for Angel, track number 14 here, and the final song of the set list before the Encore. So they're going to, say their goodbyes, thank you, good night, do Angel, great song, even though I've heard it a million times over. Then they're going to leave the stage and come back on for the Encore. First song here of the Encore is going to be Sweet Emotion off the Twice in the Attic record. Can't have an Aerosmith concert without it, even though it is one of the most overplayed songs. It's not a bad song by any means, and it's played constantly for good reason. I really do love the funk elements here mixed with the psychedelic vibes. It's a really great sounding song and really atmospheric as well. Some of Steven Tyler's best work, in my opinion, with the band. Some great lyrics. So for me, I love it, even though I've heard it a bazillion times over, and it'll no doubt be in the set list here. So let's have that kick off the Encore. Following that up up here in the encore, we're going to go with Walk This Way from Toys in the Attic. I mean, yeah, another classic song here, and one Aerosmith track that even if you're not a fan of the band, chances are you've heard this song 8 million times before, and another one of those songs that just has to be in the Aerosmith set list because, you know, why wouldn't they put it in the set list at this point? It is one of those obligatory Aerosmith songs, so that said, definitely going to be in the encore. And then, of course, closing things out here, the one song that's been missing from their debut record, Dream On, a quintessential Aerosmith track, right? Some incredible vocals here by Steven Tyler, and I could think of no better or more apropos way to close out the Peace Out Tour than with Dream On. Fantastic track, an all-time classic, one of the best rock songs of all time, and just a synonymous song with Aerosmith. So, again, it was obviously going to be in the set list, so I think having it close out the encore and close out the show is a really good move. So for me, closing out the set list here, I got to go with Dream On off their self-titled debut album. So that wraps up this video here, my set list prediction for the Peace Out Tour by Aerosmith, their final tour, and you can see my set list, my pitch set list right over here. If you enjoyed this video or if you agree with my picks, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel down below, turn on the bell for notifications so you never miss a new upload, and let me know down in the comments below, what are some Aerosmith songs that you want to hear live on the Peace Out Tour? Are they deep cuts? Are they classics? What do you want to hear? Give me some of your favorite Aerosmith songs. I want to hear from you. And until next time, it's the CD guy, Johnny Z, signing off. Take care, everybody.